Hey everyone, it's Luke here from Proactive Reporting, the instant reporting app created alongside RugbySafe and England Rugby to make the community rugby game safer. Very excited to be able to do a quick demonstration today. The app is available on a web version and a native app now, which is very exciting, but I'm going to run through it on a web version just because most people setting up will set up in this environment, although it looks exactly the same in the native app. When you arrive into it, you will see your dashboard, and this is where you'll spend most of your time when you're using the app and it's been set up, tracking instances and concussions and anything else like pre-session checks that need actioning. However, it is worth having a little bit of a look about how we set up a club within this environment and the individuals and how that is all fitted together. So the first thing to think about is you have a club and that is broken down into teams and we call those groups. So if you are setting up an account and if you're a company admin, which most of the people watching this video will be, then once you go into the group section, all you need to do is think about your club in terms of the teams. And here you can see some that I put in our demo account. And it's as simple as adding a group, putting a name of the group in, and there you go. You've got a new group that you can add instances and reports to. If we then go back out into the dashboard, each of those groups will have coaches and volunteers that we need adding to them. So if we add a user, you can see some that are here already. It's again very simply just add user. Now this is where you separate them out. So if you just want that individual to be associated with one team, and just be able to add instances to that team, which is the best protocol, then you just add them as a coach. If you were to add them as a group admin, they could also have access to creating other users within that group or team. But I think for most people, they're going to be just a coach or a volunteer. So we're going to add them and then select the group. You can add them to multiple groups if they coach across multiple groups, but for this instance, we're just going to add them to one group there. I'm going to press save. That will have sent that individual a link to sign into the account. And when we refresh, there we go, that user is in there and also the group that they're associated with. So that was just a quick look at how the club is set up in a way that allows you to use it seamlessly. You don't want coaches being associated and being able to see instances from lots of different groups. It's just confusing. It's hard for them to keep track of it. It's only really the company admins that want to see what's going across the whole club. So the reason we segregate people into teams is that basically we don't want coaches being overwhelmed with instances and getting reports and emails for all the clubs that activities. You just want that to be for the company admin, and that's probably like to be the person setting it up, the RugbySafe lead, possibly the safeguarding person at the club. So those people will have a dashboard that has all the instances in it, but most people will just have instances and concussions and reports that are associated with their team. Okay, now the important bit and what it was created for, and that is to help people keep track of injuries, instances, and in the case of rugby, concussions, and then put them onto a return to play protocol, the GRAS protocol, in a really easy way, a way that is easily managed across the coaches, the parents, and the club. So it's quite simple. And the best way to do this is if an instance occurs, whether that be an injury or something else, we go into submit a report. And we're going to report an incident on this occasion. It's all very simple. A lot of this is just drop down, so we can just go through and add the time and the date. And then a little bit of a summary of the incident. And in this case, it's an incident. You can see here from the drop-down list that there are other versions. There could have been an accident. There could have been a fault with the premises, but we are just going to put the incident in here as an injury because that's what it is. And then this is where you associate the group. Remember, if you're just a coach, you'll only see your group here. I happen to have company admin access. And then the person. And one question we get asked is, we don't store the individual's data. Your club doesn't or can't upload everyone's individual data. It is really just done on an incident by incident basis. So obviously date of birth. I would have got that wrong in the math sense, but it doesn't matter for this example. Okay, and then we break it down into where the person got injured. In this case, we've already said it was the head, and the description of the injury was, so we can refer back to that. And that was it. There may have been another injury. In this case, luckily, there wasn't. What was the cause of the injury? We're going to put bad tackle technique here. Where did the injury occur? It was in a match on a pitch. What happened? And then there's a series of additional questions that can either be answered or not. So first aid was applied. Yes, there were. Didn't need to call for medical assistance. And was the guardian informed? Yes, there and then on the side of the pitch. How were they face to face? They were reported. And what were the actions taken to reduce the risk? In this case, we're going to add additional training on tackle technique to future sessions. There's no initial notes. Let me just check we've filled everything in. We click next, and there we go. It's generated the report on all of those pieces of information. And here it's asking me to complete it, so I'm going to put my signature on that. X marks the spot. And are follow-up actions required? On this case, yes, we're going to add to concussion tracker. And cleverly, it knows to ask me that question. Because I put in an incident that involved a head injury, it is going to ask me immediately if I need to add that to a tracker so we don't forget. And then in this case is what we're going to do, as this is the main use for the app in the rugby environment. So from the drop-down list, there'll be any instance which is relevant. So in this case, it was the one today. It's already got the information of the person populated. And then it's going to ask us what the symptoms of concussion are. You can put more than one here. So they were dazed, problems with balance. Was the guardian informed? Yes. And then what we need to do is put the email and the mobile for the guardian. So obviously this was an under 18. If they're over 18, it will be their information that you can put in here. But for a community game, a lot of this will hopefully be youngsters playing the game and hopefully not getting hurt. But if they do, then obviously you put in here the guardian's email and the guardian's mobile. And that will automatically trigger them to get an email and a text with the next stages of the process. And that's really where it's most important. At this point, the club can manage the concussion in terms of seeing what stage the individual is at, and we can go and look at that by going back to our dashboard. And now when you come back to the dashboard, you can see that that incident is already been put into the concussions here. When you click in here, it will tell you what stage and how long it is since concussion is. Now, the important thing is, because we added that guardian's details, that guardian will now get regular updates on what they should be doing. They will get emailed the GRAS protocol. They will be told what stage the child is at, and they will be told what activity they should be doing. It will then, as the days progress, send them more email updates and text updates so they can keep going with the process. Here you can see the GRAS documentation, make it nice and simple for them. But importantly, they are in control. The coach and the club can see what stage they're at, but the points at which they need to be progressed along the stages, that is in their hands and their responsibility, which is the safest and the right way to do it. However, you can share the progress with other people that's related to that person. So we get asked a lot, can I tell the teacher at school? And basically, that's just to make sure that other people that are looking after that child in other environments where head injuries might be an issue, they know, and you can share that link and that will basically only tell the person with that link what stage they're at and therefore communicate what activity levels they're allowed to do. But it will always be in the hands of the guardian who got that original set of email links to progress the child along and be in charge of their safety. But there is, good reasons to be able to share that information and make sure that everyone looking after that child, the club, other teachers are aware of the stage they're at. So hopefully that's a quick look and shows just how easy it is to set up an incident and turn it into concussion if need be. And then obviously it sits in your dashboard and you can keep track of where everyone's at, what needs doing, or it might just be an incident that requires some action that isn't concussion, and that's great. You can handle that within here as well. Or as I said, if it's a concussion and everyone needs to know what stage the individual is at for their health and safety and the safest return to play, then they can follow them here. And Guardian will be able to guide along that process and make the decisions as necessary. So hopefully that's been helpful, and you can see broadly how easy the app is to use, the sort of instances and reports that you can run, and how you can manage those across the club. Obviously, once you're up and running, if there's any questions, we'll be here to help out. But so far, it's been really gratefully and well received across the community game in England, and really is helping make the sport we love safe.